As we work through the Unit 1 study guide, I want to make sure that you take some time to pause and reflect after each question. After I go through and do each question with you, you should be making sure that if you did not have me and you did not have this study guide, that you'd be able to do it on your own. The only way you're going to find success on the test is if you can do every single one of these problems on your own without any help. So continuing along, number 16 is a multiplication problem. Remember, when there is no operation between your polynomials, that means multiplication. And again, I taught you 3 different methods for multiplication. I taught you box, FOIL, and distributive. I cannot use FOIL because this is a trinomial. The only time you can use FOIL is if you have 2 binomials. So for this one, I'm going to use the distributive property, and I'm going to take this first term, or this first polynomial, and divide it up into its terms, and I'm going to leave the second polynomial alone. So I'm going to change this to 3x times 2x squared minus 3x plus 4 plus 2 times 2x squared minus 3x plus 4. So remember, for distributive property, you break one, take one. I broke the first polynomial and took the second the same. I'm going to put a 1 next to this x here, this x, and this x, to remind myself that when I multiply variables, I'm going to add their exponents. At this point, I can start multiplying. 3x times 2x squared is 6x to the third power. 3 times 2 is 6. X to the first times x to the second is x to the third, because 1 plus 2 is 3. 3x times negative 3x would be negative 9x squared. 3x times 4 would be plus 12x. Now I'm going to distribute this 2. 2 times 2x squared is positive 4x squared. 2 times negative 3x is negative 6x. And 2 times 4 is 8. At this time, I'm going to combine like terms. I have a negative 9x squared and a positive 4x squared. I have a positive 12x and a negative 6x. This 6x cubed does not have any like terms. Negative 9 plus 4, I'll do in my calculator. Negative 9 plus 4 is negative 5x squared. When you are combining like terms, you leave the exponents the same. 12x plus negative 6x, I'm going to do 12 plus negative 6 to get 6. So plus 6x, and this 8 doesn't have a like term, so I'm going to leave it the same. So my final answer would be 6x cubed minus 5x squared plus 6x plus 8. Number 17 is what we did most recently, which is converting units to different units. So for this one, they want us to convert 17 minutes to seconds, and you should remember that 1 minute equals 60 seconds. That will not be given to you on your test, but of course, if you have any questions, raise your hand and ask. Lucky for me, they set this up for me. They put minutes on the bottom because what goes up must come down. The only way to cancel out minutes is if you have 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom. I can go directly to seconds, so all I need to do is figure out what number I need to put where. Using my conversion rate, I see that 1 minute equals 60 seconds. So I'm going to put 1 next to minute and 60 next to seconds. Remember that you should be able to read this back and forth. 60 seconds equals 1 minute. 1 minute equals 60 seconds. If you can't read it back and forth, that means it doesn't make sense. My last step is to multiply everything across the top and everything across the bottom. Remember that this 17 minutes is on the top, so I'm going to put that over a 1 to remind myself of that. 17 times 60 is 1020. 1 times 1 is 1. Minutes cancel out, so I'm left with 1020 seconds. Number 18 asks how many terms are in the simplified expression. There's a question just like this on your test, word for word. And I want you to pay very close attention because it says the simplified expression. So we have to make sure that this is simplified, meaning do we have any like terms we can combine? We do. We have a 12x squared and a negative 10x squared. This 25x cubed does not have a like term, 6x does not have a like term, and negative 12 does not have a like term, but these two can be combined. So 25x cubed, 12 plus negative 10 is 2, so positive 2x squared plus 6x minus 12. It's asking me how many terms? 1, 2, 3, 4. This has 4 terms. Number 19 is also a units problem. It says that a gallon of milk costs $3.63. Convert this price to cents per pint. And on the first page of your study guide and on the top of your test, they are going to give you your conversions. So they are not directly written next to the question, but they are given to you. They're just on a separate sheet. So I'm going to move this up. And now we can have this also. Okay. So a gallon of milk costs $3.63. They want the price, convert this price to cents per pint. So we're in dollars per gallon. So I'm going to put $3.63 per 1 gallon. I need to convert dollars to cents and gallons to pints. Alright, so time sign line. I need to do dollars to cents. I know that there are 100 cents per dollar, so 100 cents equals $1. I'm going to put dollars on the bottom and cents on the top. Dollars cancel out. I can put $1 equals 100 cents. So I have successfully gone from dollars to cents. Now I need to go from gallons to pint. So time sign line. And now using my conversions, I have to see if I have a conversion with gallons and pints. So I have gallons and quarts, quarts and pints, pints and cups, cups and ounces. So I don't have one straight from gallons to pints, but I can go from gallons to quarts and then quarts to pints. So it's going to take 2 steps. I'm going to need 2 conversions. So I'm going to add one more time sign line. Because gallons is on the bottom, I'm going to put it on the top. The only way they'll cancel out is if I have one on the top and one on the bottom. And I'm going to quarts, so I'm going to put quarts on the bottom. 1 gallon equals 4 quarts. Gallons is going to cancel, and now I'm in quarts. To go to quarts, I'll put the quarts on the top, pints on the bottom. That way quarts can cancel out. It says 1 quart equals 2 pints. So now quarts cancel out, and I'm left in cents and pints. Alright, so now I have to multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. So I'm going to do 3.63 times 100 times 1 times 1, and I get 363. Then multiply across the bottom. 1 times 1 times 4 times 2, I get 8. My last step is to divide. 363 divided by 8, 45.38. 45.38. And so I'm just going to round this up to 46 cents per pint. You did a whole homework assignment on rate conversion, so make sure you study that as well, because that will be helpful when you're doing problems like this. Number 20 is also a unit problem, and this is probably the most difficult question on your test, only because it forces you to think outside the box. Number 20 says that the floor in Miss King's classroom is 25 square yards. It wants you to calculate the area in square feet and tells you that 3 feet equals 1 yard. Alright, so we are going from yards squared to feet squared. And 3 feet equals 1 yard. So the first thing I need to do is write what I start with. I start with 25 yards squared. Whenever you have yards squared, so yards squared equals yards times yards. Just like x squared equals x times x, or 2 squared equals 2 times 2. So I need to get out of yards squared, so I'm going to do times sign line, and they tell me that 3 feet equals 1 yard. I'm going to put yard at the bottom because what goes up must come down, and feet at the top. 3 feet, 1 yard. The tricky part about this is not saying 1 yard squared equals 3 feet. It's saying 1 yard equals 3 feet. So because I have a 2 up here, I'm going to have to cancel it out 2 times. So I'm just going to write the same thing twice because of this squared. Yards squared will be canceled out from yards times yards, and I'll be left with feet times feet, which is exactly what they want. They want square feet, and square feet is feet times feet. So yard squared cancels out yard and yard. So now I'm just going to multiply straight across the top, straight across the bottom. 25 times 3 is 225. 1 times 1 is 1. So the final answer would be 225 feet squared. Alright, on to the next page. Number 21 says that Miss King brought 12 kilograms of candy into the classroom. Her class ate 3,000 grams of candy. How many grams of candy does Miss King have left? So the keyword here is how many grams. We start with 12 kilograms, and the class ate 3,000 grams, and it's asking me for how many grams are left. Because this 12 kilograms is not in grams, I'm going to have to use King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. I start with 12, and I'm going from kilo to unit. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So 12 kilograms converted to grams is 12,000 grams. We're going to subtract the 3,000 grams that the class ate to see how many grams were left over. So 12,000 minus 3,000 is 9,000. So Miss King has 9,000 grams left of candy because 12 kilograms converts to 12,000 grams. The class ate 3,000, so we can subtract 3,000, and we're left with 9,000. Alright, one more video. I will see you there.